Hey, 420 MSP, Harry here with Ezra. Hey, great to see you again, and congratulations for making the Marijuana Venture Magazine Cannatech Corner list of most visible Cannatech influencers. So you've earned it, my friend.
You. All right.
There we go. Well, for the audience, what's your story? You've been in the industry for some time. Let's take it from the beginning.
Yeah. Oh gosh, the beginning. Well, we have to go back to 2010. I was a Washington business contract lobbyist, and I got interested in the cannabis space. Honestly, with very little knowledge about how legitimate the medical use is across a whole wide spread of different medical conditions. So I helped put together the first real, trade association for the industry. This is pre 502 when everybody was, the medical dispensaries, and started doing political work for the industry. Worked on, normalizing the business existence for the operators, and then, help manage the transition into 502, which was an absolute nightmare. Most of us thought it was very poorly hard to implement initiative, and we were actually against it, believe it or not. Pro legalization, not so psyched about 502. Here we are all these years later, still sorting out the details of that initiative. So we were right to be concerned. But then I decided to get into the industry, and I've always had two hats. One is a political strategist and operative, and the other is a business strategist and operative. So I started a production facility. We don't have our own brand on the shelf, but we sell just, bulk weed to artisan, and they put it in their brand, and it's really cool. We grow like the Dutch berry strain that everybody loves, which is really a fantastic strain. And then, I over the years, I got the hemp, bill through to start allowing the hemp industry to get going in Washington, which should have been done in the initiative, but wasn't, unfortunately. Then over time, became a strategist, consultant for other interests in the hemp and cannabis space. And here we are all these years later, still trying to sort out how to make 502 work more functionally here in our state. But now also, looking forward to what's going to happen to our industry when we face interstate commerce once the feds legalize cannabis. It's going to be a very big challenge for everybody. So, now working on, any of my clients and companies I'm working with, getting everybody prepared for the massive transition, first in the hopes of survival, and then second, planning to thrive and grow and become, national operators.
Yeah, absolutely. And I met you through one of your clients in the tech space, and enjoyed working with you. And again, it was a no-brainer to put you on the list. So, hopefully the gold plaque will be arriving in the mail soon to put on the wall behind you. But
all right.
Hey,
next couple. I have a plaque behind me, Harry.
There we go. A couple questions. I think I'm tracking with you. I know the 50X, like 501, and what's a 502? Is this in that same world of not-for-profit, and what's the 5 series?
Sorry, the 502 that we talked about, that was the number of the initiative that passed in 2012, okay. I-502. So when we talk about the 502, I-502 system, we're always referring to the licensed, legalized cannabis industry in Washington state that was set in motion by the initiative 502. So now, so you like to talk about tech, not politics, right? So yes. I'll start moving away from the politics. So, what I do is I analyze for weaknesses and for opportunities, and one of the huge issues with this industry is our tech. Our software options that we have on all up and down from seed to sale. It's a bunch of siloed, disjointed, in many cases poorly, inadequately built software programs that have a hard time even sometimes talking to each other. And the end result for especially retailers is you have to increase your staff time, so you just have more costs, more frustration, and everything else. So, one of the things that I'm looking at business-wise in the cannabis space, and that I'm that I've jumped into, and what we met over is the software development for and that's where the Purple Fog company comes in. We're raising money for that right now.
Yeah.
The very, very, very bright, very, very bright minds.
Wicked smart.
Mapping out exactly how to fix the software issue for this industry. So you just watch a year from now, it's going to come out of nowhere and really help get this industry to the next level, because it's really time for this industry, if I dare say, to grow up, to evolve to next generation cannabis industry. As soon as the feds legalize, we're going to have a normalized business existence. That means you have to live up to normalized business rules and expectations and efficiencies. And we can't have so many individual specialized programs out there in this industry when we're working to scale up. The bigger companies that we're going to be competing with or even evolving into are not going to be playing ball like that. They're going to be operating at a whole different level software wise.
And they are, by analogy, and I've shared with you my past life, infrastructure, Microsoft vendors. So this right here is Small Business Server, came out in 97, retired in 2014. But Ezra, what it was is the maturity went through the SMB space. Is this was really a platform. We didn't use the word platform back then, but it was the operating system within the functionality of storage, security, email, even faxing. And so I concur. What you're kind of seeing, and again, by analogy, is pre-1997, it was all these things. You even had to buy way back when a spell checker for your word processor. You actually had to pay for that. And then it just got mature and became a platform. And that's still where we're at today with Office 365. The other observation I have from the other side of the aisle is today, tomorrow, and certainly when we become federal legal, but we're really going to have a conversation about cybersecurity in the cannabis space, from protecting PII as well as the revenue data and so on. I don't know, any thoughts on that, but it's coming to a cannabis supply chain near you soon, the bad guys.
Well, so I'm probably the furthest person you ever talked to from a cybersecurity expert. I barely know how to use my little web root program on a computer. And sometimes it expires and I forget about it. But cybersecurity has got to be really it can't be a standalone thought. I'm really good at visualizing processes and systems.
Yeah.
And if your security is here and all of your systems are over here and it's not an integrated part of the design, it seems like you're setting yourself up for just being inadequate. So great, your system might operate well, but if people can so easily hack into your system or cause you issues, then what like when everything's under attack, even the federal government gets hacked. Heck, even sometimes the militaries get hacked. So
yeah.
So we have to assume that any core integral, software that we're using for the function of our companies, we've got to make sure it's protected. We have to make sure our systems are protected. A cannabis company, especially in this stage of development, can hardly afford to have one of these ransomware, attacks happen and all of a sudden pay $50 million to use our own store. We can't afford that stuff. So, it seems like like in the software world, we have to be building cybersecurity deeper into the programs.
Yeah.
And also then have, your web root and whatever other programs out there I know very little about. But there's also the IP.
Absolutely.
If you can get in and see their systems and their thought processes, you can literally rip them off. So that, it's not just hackers in a basement having fun to try to make, $100,000 on a ransomware. It's also corporate espionage. And the bigger, when we move into an interstate commerce scenario, and we're dealing with national markets here, the level of competition and the sophistication and size of the businesses and the consolidation that's going to be happening is going to be pretty intense. And the competition will be fierce. And, to be honest with you, it hasn't really been publicized, but there's already been hacking happening within the industry, just within Washington, of companies trying to spy on each other. And
I believe it.
And the instances that where I've picked up on this, they were really wasting their time. Like, this was just people who are off on a paranoid bent. But it just goes to show that, once people are clamoring to compete for shelf space in this industry, and there are more operators than there is market, the impetus, the reasoning, the inspiration to get a little dirty for some operators who have less than admirable moral compasses is going to be pretty high. It's going to happen. It's just guaranteed.
No, it is. It is. And again, over my the other job I have in infrastructure, but even yourself, and I know you don't track it by day, but you would know the word SolarWinds. You would now know the word Kaseya in the popular news with some cyber hacks. And I'm with you. An Exxon Valdez incident is coming to the cannabis sector. I don't know when, where, what it will look like. I hope, God forbid, it's anything with molds, mildews, quality control, and health. I hope it's not that. But yeah, the bad guys know where the money is, man.
Yep. I mean, let's just as is, without a very well developed medical side of all of this. By medical, I mean, cannabis is still not an integrated part, practice of, for mainstream medical practitioners. It's not been widely adopted in mainstream medical practice.
Right.
Once that happens, the medical side of the markets is going to open up, and in my opinion, probably going to be bigger than the, recreational adult use that we have now.
But
within today's, realm of what we're looking at for today's users and today's, product availability, we're probably going to level out once the whole country is legal, or at least as much of it is going to be. And the illicit market, ports over to the licensed regulated stores, which is actually a long process. So, for example, in Washington, we still have about 25% of the illicit market to win into the stores. But once that all works out, once that levels out, we're probably looking at about a $60 billion a year retail market, just in the United States alone. And then you're going to start seeing, Costco and the big retailers wanting to come in and get this on their shelves. They're not going to sit out on this market, So we're going to have challenges from corporate America, from all these different directions, and we're going to have to be really on our game to not get steamrolled out of the picture by these big players coming in with all this money. But the cool thing about this is, how often does the new industry present an opportunity to also build, kind of a whole new suite of software that really is, so there's a whole business opportunity just in the, if you will, picks and shovels and services sales to the people who are actually touching the plant. That into itself is a huge industry. When we're talking about a $60 billion industry just for one country, let alone then we start thinking about what those markets are going to look like globally once the whole world catches on. And, legalization is a fire that's taking off across the world. We helped create the global war on drugs, and now that we're backing off from it and dismantling that horrible injustice of American history. The rest of the world is starting to follow suit. Mexico's looking at legalization of, the Supreme Court's made, Mexico's made some movement. All these other countries, Canada's ahead of us. So it's a new world that's presenting all these amazing, business opportunities, amongst other things. And so it's, just trying to get in and get your hands on the plant at some point along the process. It's not the only opportunity here, but I will say it is the riskiest part of the opportunity.
The touching the flowers, the riskiest, or being Nordstrom's and selling shoes to gold miners?
No, the being the gold miner. So, if we use the gold, so many gold miners ended up broke, but the people who are selling them stuff, because they were buying, using those supplies, whether they found gold or not. So, I think just if I'm just looking at this from a business strategy perspective, there are just some amazing opportunities. And that's why I've, honestly focused my business involvement and my partnerships away from the plant, where I'm actually working in-house with a company like Purple Fog, where I've become a partner and, in-house, part of the strategy team.
Yeah.
I believe firmly that that's, or, look at what just happened with weed maps.
Yeah.
What? I mean, the amount of cash that they got in this deal, this reverse merger they just did, it's incredible. And so, but that shows you how the markets are looking at this as well, in terms of, the services part of the cannabis industry and how valuable that is. It is receiving a lot of investor attention right now, and that should tell us a lot.
Yep. All right, my friend. Well, let's bring it in for a landing. Again, congratulations for making the Marijuana Venture Magazine Cannatech Corner list of most visible Cannatech influencers. Keep it safe out there.
All right. Thanks, Harry. You take care.
All right.